Hello, folks. This is Brett Molitor from the Haunted Attraction Association with board member Bart Butler from Terror in the Corn, and Alan Hops, former board member in Stiltbeast Studios and Dark Hour, and many other things. It's hard to keep track of them all. But we're going to talk about actor safety today, and I will let them introduce themselves with anything more they've got, and I'm going to remove myself from the stage.
Alan, go ahead.
So I'm Alan Hops, and I do haunted house stuff. I've been doing haunted house stuff for as of July 13th, it'll be 40 years because I did my first haunt when I was 10. And through that time, I have been an actor for a long amount of that. And then I have managed attractions, I have directed attractions, and now I'm the owner of Dark Hour with me and my wife. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 or so years. So I do a lot of haunted house stuff. I'm on the costume making end, making sure actors are safe, that they can see and breathe and that kind of stuff, as well as in the show. Last year, we installed a ton of cameras, and I'll talk about that later.
Awesome. I'm Bart Butler. I am the operator of Terror in the Corn. I've been haunting for probably a little over 35 years, and I have done almost every job in the haunted attraction that you can do. I've been in security. I've been in acting. I've been in actor trainers. I've been in every position, and cannot wait to share our experiences about actor safety on this. So I guess we'll just get right into it. Why has actor safety, why has it changed? I think actor safety has become a hot topic in the industry for many reasons. Guest behavior has changed. I know physical contact and verbal abuse I have seen firsthand at our attraction. Professionalism in the industry. The industry has matured tremendously, I think, within the last 15 years. It's no longer friends helping friends. We have HR departments. We have SOPs. We have formal training. We have employee handbooks. More information is also being shared with social media, podcasts, the industry forums. Incidents are no longer local anymore. What has really changed is that we're talking about this again. Me and Alan are talking about this openly. The industry is now asking how we can better protect the people who make our attractions work. Tonight is not about creating fear or overreaction. It is about sharing ideas, learning from each other's experiences, and hopefully giving everyone a few things that they can take home to their attractions. The biggest thing I wanted to say before we start is actor safety is a shared responsibility. Management builds the systems. Actors help make the system work.
Bart?
Yes.
I want to add to that.
Sure.
And customers behave. That has to be in there.
Yes,
that's the part that we have the least amount of control over. But you do have to, if they misbehave, hold that customer accountable.
I agree. Is my screen frozen?
You have frozen, but I can still hear you.
Okay, good.
So,
I don't know what's going on, but quick question for you, Alan. What do you think is the biggest actor safety problem today?
Okay, today the biggest actor safety problem. Okay, now this is probably deeper than you wanted me to go, but in all honesty, our customers are not as socialized as they used to be. A lot of our interaction now is through screens, even with people close to us. Yes, there is personal time, but a lot of that interaction is through screens. And then you get into a haunted house where people are in your face, and we're not used to that as a society, I think that there used to be a lot more confrontation and fist fights and things that are flat out assault and sexual assault now just were not considered that in the 80s. And I think that's a positive. I think, hey, we're moving in the right direction, but there's just more things out there, and people are not as used to dealing with other people in that intimate, in your face kind of way. So there's backlash and people kind of freak out a little bit.
That's perfect. Perfect. Again, here it's probably the same answer you just gave me. What has changed in the last 10 years? Is it basically the same answer?
10 years? Okay. So in the last 10 years, everything is now out there. Everything is out there. Everything as far as what happens, behavior. There's a ton of TikTok channels that are actors who gripe about haunted house patrons. They're actors who talk about how toxic haunted house culture is. And those things that are out there, they sort of flavor the world a little bit. And I think that actor safety is as much media protection as it is anything else. Because your reputation can get dinged and tarnished pretty quick by, any number of actors who are out there filling the airwaves with their displeasure. And you got to kind of figure out exactly how to deal with that.
Yes, I agree. We'll go to the guest. Are guests becoming more aggressive, or are we simply seeing more volume?
I don't think guests are becoming more aggressive. I think that guests don't know how to act in some situations where there's intensity.
Okay.
And understand, I'm a 50-year-old white dude with a gray beard. Okay. So I'm going to say this and it's going to sound terrible, but, and I want to frame how I say this. The term "I have anxiety," I don't think I ever really heard that until 2000. It just wasn't a thing. And now there's more anxiety in the world and it's closer to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that causes a lot of issues with the customer who kind of freak out. And then when someone has a freak out moment, sometimes there is, well, I was reacting to anxiety, and okay, but you still acted in a way that we have to address. And that's on both sides, so yeah, I think it's that not working with people the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a new way of dealing with people. I think that the customer hasn't gotten worse. I think the customer is not as well educated in handling mock violence.
That's a good answer. We're going to get into the anxiety thing later on, so that was a good touch to it. Do you think social media behavior is an issue for actor safety, or just actors in general?
100%. Here's why. Because on social media, your behavior has very few consequences. And if you are spending half of your day doing behavior that reinforces no consequences, do you think you're going to act worse or better when you're in other situations?
Correct.
In all honesty, what's happening is that there's so few repercussions to poor behavior online that carries over into the real world a little bit. And you do get a little more poor behavior, not necessarily violent, but more poor behavior and more less caring for other people, in my opinion.
Do you think there's more guest entitlement now than there was before?
Well, if you're speaking about in ratio to actor and employee entitlement,
yeah,
I'd say they're on par.
Okay.
Because the guest entitlement has gone up, as well as the employee actor entitlement has gone up. Everyone's entitlement has gone up.
Yes.
Entitlement is as simple as I can get it tomorrow from Amazon. That, didn't used to be a thing. Any form of entertainment or media that you want to see is at your fingertips. You can watch it right now. That's kind of a form of entitlement. We get upset if we can't watch it. So
Correct.
that's,
Yeah.
you know, that's something to be aware of, and make sure that people going into your show through your marketing, through your social media, they know what to expect from your show. If you're using a lot of AI generated video or images, they won't know what to expect. And then they're going to act poorly because you're not giving them what they expected to see when they got there, leading to unsafe actors.
Perfect. So we're going to switch things up and go training actors before they ever scare. I know that we do the 5-minute training, which has safety and performance in it. I started doing this actually at Dark Hour when I was the actor trainer there. I would be given a list of all the new people that were in all our people that were in new scenes. And once they got their scene, I ran through the haunt and would go through where the emergency exit was, where the fire extinguishers were, where the cameras were, what to do as far as a signal goes, showing where they stole their stuff like that. Flow of the scene, hide and scare, lines and dialogue and timing. Like I would go in there and I would go, hey, okay, so you know this and this, but let's go to the flow of the scene. This is how the scene flows. This is where the customers come. This is where they leave. This is what you do. And then I would actually have the actor be the customer so they could see through the customer's eyes what they're actually going to be doing. And that would give them a different perspective of if something they think is stupid actually looks cool from the customer's point of view. Right. And then, of course, I would reverse the roles and have me as a customer and then have them do it. And that would be the quick thing. I know that we don't have actors that come in anymore during the middle of the season at my attraction. I know some people do, but the 5-minute training that we do, it brings somebody in that's fresh. It doesn't know your haunt. Showing them the emergency exits, 2 of them, because one emergency exit might be blocked. And so showing them where fire extinguishers are, not just 1, but 2, where the cameras are, not only in their scene, but in the scenes next to them. That way, if they had to escape, they know they can go to another camera. Actors also, from what we do, is they, especially in Texas, heat exhaustion. But we also talk about like panic attacks, asthma, dehydration, building energy. Many actors have never worked, especially nowadays, have never worked in a physical condition like this. I consider acting a sport almost, that a lot of people don't realize that they really need to prepare for.
I completely agree. I think a kind of a lack of physical preparedness is one of the big issues that we face with new people dropping off and them going into the role and not having physical understanding of what they're exactly going to be doing.
Hey guys, I need to interrupt you for a minute. Bart, we're going to try to get your video working again by having
I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Why don't you log off and come back on?
Okay, I can do that real quick.
I kind of like it because Bart looks happy about everything that I'm saying. He was just frozen on a smile. I'm like, this is great. I can say anything. He's thrilled with it.
He's got a big toothy grin. Okay, go ahead and log off, Bart, and come back on.
All right, hold on real quick. Let me go back to this.
All right, Alan and I'll dance for a minute. You guys have got this off to a really good start. We've got like almost 40 people online with us. We've got a couple of questions waiting. As soon as he gets back on, we'll put one of them up.
Well, why don't you go ahead and ask me one so they're not just waiting?
Okay. All right, here's one right here. Dave Ferrier.
Oh, okay. So the big thing there is you have to tell them what happens. This is kind of well timed for me because last year I stepped in as head of security at my show because I didn't think the actors felt safe enough. So I changed some processes and some systems. Also working with our insurance company in order to make sure that we're documenting every incident in case something pops up is pretty important. And so what happens is if anytime there is, because we're not a touch show, if an actor touches a guest or a guest touches an actor, then they immediately report it. Even if it's an accident, even if I say sorry, you have to kind of report it just so we know what happened. And then, well, if the guest touches the actor, then someone goes and meets with that guest and talks to them or observes their behavior, depending upon the severity. If they say, yeah, they kind of hit me in the arm and said, good job or something, I might watch them a little bit. And if I see them touch someone else, I'll stop them. But if they attack the actor, then we're gonna kind of boot them. But you have to have a follow-up where you go back and you talk to the actor who's important, and then you go back to that actor and you tell them, yes, so the person that hit you, I found them, they also hit another person. And because of your report, I was following them and I was able to stop that from happening right before it happened. So thank you. And then because I saw it about to happen, I was able to kick the person out. And
we
go
had an
back
incident.
and with that follow-up of what's the information, so that they know, what came about from their report. Because you're absolutely right. If they're just complaining into the void, it really does nothing. Another thing is announce policy changes and say why a policy changes. 2 or 3 years ago, we added in every one of our puppets. We have 6 puppets here at Dark Hour. Every puppet is a radio station now. And we added that in because it was kind of difficult for an actor to get to one of the security guards who are stationed with the radio. Even though there's 3 of them and they're spread out through the show, and then, they should be evenly spread out, there's still 6 puppets. They have radios, and then those 3 security guards who have radios. But then we said, well, we noticed that our response time was poor because it took you guys too long to get to the person because you're trying to respect the show all the way there and all the way back. And, so we're adding these radios in the show that are stationary so that they're not going to be roaming around. A roaming security guard sees almost nothing. They almost have to be stationed so that an actor can go to them, know where they're at, and say, hey, here's what happened. So I hope I answered that question, but it's not building a culture of not seeing action taken. Tell them what actions were taken. And if actions aren't being taken, tell them why. And maybe they should be taken. Or maybe you have to have a talk with that actor and say, nothing happened because, this was an incident that you kind of provoked. So, let's alter your performance a little bit so you feel safer. Let's do that. Any new trends we should anticipate from customers this season? I think it's too early to tell. Trends are so, they come up and go down so fast. I would not have any knowledge of a trend right now of what it would be for October as far as guest behavior. I think the trend on our side is going to be making sure that our social media reflects us, because it's really easy now to have amazing photos and amazing video that doesn't reflect your show. And that's going to lead to unhappy customers. So make sure that the content that you're putting out is worthy of the show that you're going to produce. I'm a big advocate for that. Let's see. I think you're muted.
I was muted. I've got some background noise too, I guess. Bart's having trouble getting on. So encourage more questions. We're ready to go.
Bart lives in the mountains in Colorado, and internet is new there.
Yeah.
So he's having a rough time.
Yeah,
I lived in
an incident last year. Like you're saying, tell people what's going on. We had a late report on an incident, and then they got mad because we tried to follow up on it, but couldn't figure out who they were talking about. And then they were, having some private conversations mad because they didn't think we did anything about it. And, we took it seriously, but we couldn't act because they didn't tell us in time. And they didn't give us a description. So when we told them that, they said, oh, okay,
So-
sorry about that.
What we have to do at that point is, why didn't they tell us in time? Did they not tell us in time because we didn't have a radio close enough to them? Did they not tell us in time because they don't know how to get to where they're supposed to report it? Did they not tell us in time because they just hung out in their set for 10 groups before they started going to report it? It's which one of those, and go through that with them and say, as soon as an incident happens, you got to go, and that's
Yeah.
what's really good about having the stationary radios inside the show, is that the person on the radio says, that here, they had this incident. Now they got to fill out an incident report because they accidentally reached out and touched a guest's face, and they want to fill out a report in case the guest complains on the way out. Well, now I'm sending an actor trainer to cover their spot while that actor goes and fill out the incident report.
Yeah.
So
this person had a radio, but they waited like 4 groups before they said something. And so we went through the whole crew that night. But hey, when you have something, you have to tell us right away. So we got another question coming up from or comment, I guess, from Dave Terror. Hang on.
okay, so I'll answer this. What's common actor injury? So EMTs and managers can be prepared to help. So I honestly thought that it would be twisting your ankle or tweaking your knee, because those were like pretty common as I was coming up and acting, like that was the big deals. You jump off of something, you twist your ankle. Honestly, it's exhaustion. It is people feeling faint, people feeling nauseous. That is my number one thing. It's people feeling nauseous. And it's on my EMT checklist for the night. It's, how many people feel nauseous, and why, what set are they in? And normally it's just them, and they get overheated, or they didn't eat, they didn't drink. So them not taking care of themselves is normally the biggest problem. So if there's something that you can do to alleviate that, whether it's having power bars available, whether it is, making sure that they have water, we have people who go through and refill their water for them. So, there's a lot of different things that you can do, but all that's a preventative, because I want actors in the show and not having them fall out. So I think the biggest injury is exhaustion. Didn't eat, they end up feeling nauseous. And most people, I have a policy where if you're in the EMT office for 30 minutes, they send you home. So, you're not going to ride in the EMT office for, 45 minutes or an hour. That's too significant of a chunk of the night. If you don't feel well, then go on home. That's perfectly fine. But I find that right around that 20-25 minute mark, they start feeling better, and they will go back to work most of the time. But also, this is a tough job, and sometimes they just want to be done, and that's understandable.
All right, Alan, just to let you know, I'm on, but you can't see me.
All right.
I don't know what's going on with the camera. The camera's on. I checked it, but no.
You're working in the dark spot of the haunt. I'm gonna. Would you read Jim's question to me?
Knowing that it is the objective of any actor to scare the customer and scare them well, do you believe that we should be focused on educating the actors to the effects of fight or flight on a person experiencing fear of terror, and how to scare in such a way that they do not find themselves in a path of what very often could be involuntary responses from the guest?
Yes. I mean, I think every possible answer is in that question. But absolutely. But it just makes sense to not have actors jump out in front of them. If you're cutting off their exit, then they're going to try and get to that exit. So that, that's something that you want to do. That also slows down your show and causes backups. So you want to make sure that you're scaring from the side, if not a hair behind. Those are good tips. But we do a lot of training here in order to scare, and like Bart mentioned, flow. The flow of the scene is huge. And when a person is scared, they should do this. They might do this, this, or this. I have kind of stopped whispering in people's ears from behind, because you get a lot of this reaction where the hands go back because they got scared. And I've gotten backhanded in the nose a few times. So, now I kind of project those whispers into their ears. So I'm not, as up close.
Yeah.
And as we learn lessons, we teach them to others.
I've got that similar thing is that if I come behind somebody, I'm going to get elbowed in the chin. Pretty much, it's a 50-50 every time I do that.
Yeah.
So to go back, I don't know where you went, because I was in and out. But we're talking about acting being a sport, and that means eating and drinking. And I was running Akron Haunted Schoolhouse and Laboratory, and for 2 seasons, it was really 1 season, but the second season we started it up was I kept having actors go down where they were nauseous, but they weren't able to throw anything up. They were dry heaving and all that, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I found out that the staff I had did not have money to eat, so they had no energy. And in finding that out, I got with John Eslich, and we talked about, because we had a full kitchen. I'm like, let's get these guys something to eat to give them energy to be able to work. So I've always been in these suburbs and country of haunting, and never inner city of dealing with something like that. And we made a good shift, and it really worked. And I'm still having that issue here at Terror in the Corn. Is we have people that go down, and it's like, okay, so what did you eat today? And of course, I haven't eaten. Drinking a lot of energy drinks, but I haven't eaten.
Well, and to be fair, the amount they normally eat and how they normally take care of themselves is fine for going about their day to day.
Correct.
But a haunt night is an extreme situation, and they did not properly fuel up or fortify against the amount of physical effort that they're going to be doing and mental effort they're going to be doing. And that causes that kind of a breakdown. So it's almost, they have to eat twice as much as normal on a haunt night, yes, drink twice as much as normal on a haunt night and the day before, just to make sure that they're hydrated and ready to go.
As far as training actors before this ever scare, that part, actors' roles is, of course, for their role for the safety is to learn the emergency procedures before opening night, to stay hydrated and eat before your shift, to speak up immediately if they are injured, sick, or overheating, and or if they don't understand their scene. Never ignore unsafe behaviors, because you don't want to disappoint your team. Do you have anything to add?
Bart,
yes.
The whole time you were talking, I was reading comments. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm like, Bart has this handled. I'm looking ahead, but I want to answer one of the comments. Oh, it's up here right now.
There you go.
Do you find it helpful potentially train your actors in basic CPR? That way, if a customer happens, no. In all honesty, I do not want 5 actors coming from separate sets because they hear somebody went down and they all run into that room and every monkey wants to touch the football and try and make this person better. I have EMTs on staff. The actor's job is to get that guest help as soon as possible, but the actors are not security. They do not act like security. The actors are not EMTs. They do not act like EMTs. I have someone with levels of training beyond what I give my basic staff in order to take care of those things. And I pay to have them on property, and I pay them to deal with those situations. I do not want my staff doing that. I do not want my staff handling guest complaints. I have people to do that. I want my actors to act. I want my EMTs to EMT, and I want, you know, the managers should be the ones helping to manage those situations. Okay, so this is radio. Okay.
Yeah, best tips for teaching how to effectively communicate via radio, or should only certain individuals use the radios to communicate the needs of others?
I am never going to say a blanket policy that no one should be on, not everybody should be on the radio. If something happens, you should be able to report it on the radio. By all of our radios in the show, we have the radio. Boy, do I have one? I used to have one right here. By all of our radios, we have what channel everything is on, in case they need, you know, but the radios are set to security. Well, they're set to dispatch, and dispatch will then contact security or EMT or both. But so the radio is already on that channel, but if it gets dark or you fiddle with a button, you need to know what channel to put it back on. So all the channels are listed, and we have codes for different situations. You know, a code white is something that's when you get time, please address this. You know, and then up to, you know, a code black, I think this guy's dead. So, you know, there's different levels for different things that happen inside of the haunt.
When we do something similar, we have a dispatch that our security is on a completely different channel than the actors and regular staff. And that's because the radio chatter from security is pretty lengthy and overshadows everything else. So we've had to put it on two different separate channels, but we also have to communicate. We have the farm too. So we have 3 different radios. We have one for security, one for staff, and one for the farm. And that farm actually goes to the off-duty police officers. And so if anything, because again, with how big our setup is at the farm, we have Code Adams, which is a lost child, and everything gets kind of shut down. The whole park kind of just locks up. So it's a lot. And does everybody have a radio? No, not everybody has a radio. Anybody that has something with them, like we have a combine that shoots fire, that definitely has to have a radio. So
yeah,
but stuff like that. And so not all of our actors have radios, but our team leads, our breakers, and our roamers all have radios. We do have lots of cameras, just like Alan does. I think we have over 100. And so we're watching at all times.
All right. So along with that, a lot of it is taking out the unnecessary chatter. We have one channel so our actor trainers can communicate. But you set your radios up in such a way where that channel can also reach out to security. You know, you don't want anybody cut off from who they need to get to.
Yes.
I think we have like 7 channels. I'll tell you that I run 85 actors on a night now, which means I'm going to have about 90 to 95 in the show to begin with. And then I have probably 35 to 40 other staff who are line tenders, gift shop, ticket booth, concessions. So, and of that, so 85 plus 40, let's just call it 130 people who are working any given night we're open. Mm-hmm. And I have 45 radios.
Okay.
So it's a pretty high ratio of who has a radio here.
I find most actor training focusing on the basics. Typically, it's geared towards new actors, and the intent is to get unskilled actors good enough to be a part of the show. How do we train veteran actors and help them become great actors? Alan, that's you.
Oh, so I have a concept that I have really taken to in the past 4 or 5 years. And it stems from a concept of haunting from 10,000 feet. I'm an owner. I am haunting from 10,000 feet, meaning part of me has to be, I have to almost be looking at this above the haunt. I'm looking at traffic coming in. I'm looking at what's happening in the parking lot. I'm looking at the flow of the show. How fast are people going in? How fast are they coming out? I'm looking at certain spots in the show to make sure that those are flowing well, because I know they're kind of known backups. And I'm haunting from 10,000 feet. Your new actor, I expect them to haunt from about 4 feet, meaning they pay attention to what is 4 feet in front of them and 4 feet wide. If they jump out at a group of 6 people, they're going to maybe get 2 in that focus, and they're going to focus on those people. The better an actor gets, the further away they're haunting from. A good actor is going to haunt from 20 feet up. Then they have some awareness. I have a group in front of me. I can see all 6 of them. I hear the set that is right before mine going off. And I know that that's going to send people into my set in about 40 seconds. So I'm going to scare these people effectively. And then if I freeze these people because my scare stops them, I'm going to extract myself, let them move again. And if they take 15 seconds to move, I know I have 20 seconds before that new group comes in. I might chase that group just to the exit of my scene, give a hit on the wall, and kind of push them down the road a little bit. Then I'm going to reset, and I'm going to get that next group. And I'm going to hear what's happening because I'm looking at it from 20 feet up. Now, I might have an actor trainer who I expect to be haunting from 50 feet up. And they're going to know what's going on to a degree in 5 or 6 sets. They're going to hear over the radio that an actor in one set had to run to a quick bathroom break. So they know they can either cover that, or that actor trainer can talk to the person in the next set. Go ahead and chase every group through that next scene. And that way that set's kind of covered, but they're making decisions based on what's happening from a certain altitude. And the higher up in in haunting or management you get, kind of the higher up. And that's a very clear way to illustrate it. I can't have an actor who's focusing just on what's in front of them for 10 years. I expect by the end of the season, everybody should be at that 20-foot level if they're thinking about it and their head's in the game. We call it haunt IQ. So we're measuring their haunt IQ based off of one of the things that we measure is, are they haunting from 20 feet? Are they haunting from 50 feet? If they're haunting from 20 feet and they are just a normal actor, I'm thrilled because they know what's going on. They know what's happening. They know what the set before them is. Before the group gets to them, they know there's 5 people in it. They know that the group has split up. That's their haunt IQ. So, that's how we address it. And just by saying it to them in that fashion, and it gets their mind going, and they're kind of then self-training to say, I need to know what's going on. I need to be more aware of my surroundings. I'm not worried about the scare so much because that takes care of itself. I'm worried about the awareness, because you can have amazing scares, but low awareness. And that's just dangerous. So I'd much rather raise their awareness and then the scares come in, if that makes any sense. That was a really long answer.
That makes complete sense. I know that, just to add on to it, I know that during the off season, every last Friday of the month, we do improv class. And so we teach improv if you're going to go that way on things. And so it's always good to, also it keeps our staff involved in the haunt during the off season. We're not as fortunate as Dark Hour to be able to have off season shows. So we have to work around that.
It does help. It keeps actors fresh.
Yes, it does. Do you run drills? And if so, what kind of drills, how often, and who is involved?
So every orientation, we have a surprise at this point fire drill where we go ahead, put the system on test. We have it go off, and we make sure that we have a gathering point in the front, we have a gathering point in the back. I can't tell you how important it is to keep an updated cast list, because changes happen.
Mhm.
But when that change happens, change the names on the list. So when they get out there to that extraction point, to the meeting point, you know who you've got and you can call for them. We have some actors who are elevated, and the actor nearest them, it's explained to them that they are to wait at the bottom of the ladder for that person to come down so they can unclip them from their fall arrestor. And some positions, like a witch, I want them to leave their hat on. I've almost everybody takes their mask off and leaves it on their set so they can see to get out. But I want the witches to keep their hats so that the people in that area can see that person. So, I mean, yes, we run drills. How we run them is the way that we run them. You will run them differently, but yes, run drills.
Yes.
Also, almost every training night, one of the first things that we do is, like, as soon as you get to your set, or any night we're open, if it's a new person or you're in a new spot, and we say this at every opening meeting, the first thing I want you to do is find 2 different fire extinguishers and find 2 exits. And we let our people out of the meeting at 6:15, and then we don't put guests in until 6:45 because we open at 7. I open at 7. That means my guests go in at 6:45. So yeah, but I asked them to, from your set, go to the bathroom, touch the bathroom door, and then go back to your set. Because once we're open, if you have to do that, and I have actors who worked all night, but not where they're supposed to be because they couldn't find their way back. If you're new or you're in a new spot, I've had people who worked here for 3 years, but they always work the same area. They don't know the haunt. Yeah. So if they're put in a new spot, they have to find their way to the bathroom, find their way back, find 2 emergency exits, find 2 fire extinguishers, and know where they're at.
Perfect. Building safe scenes. When designing sets, you should have scares and actors in mind. You should have things like, can an actor escape? Can management or team lead security reach them quickly? And what hazards could they face? What design mistakes have you made, or have you had anybody else make, that later became safety hazards?
So something that we developed last year was extraction points. There are 8 points in my show in which I pull guests out. And if I'm and that's where security will wait and they will watch. This is the person who's leaving, and they watch for that person. They get a confirmation from dispatch. All of my show now is on camera. There's maybe 10 seconds of someone walking through where they're not actually on camera.
Nice.
And so they get confirmation. Is this the person? They go out, they get that person out. And that is always to a hallway where they can go right out of the show. It's come with me, let's go. And then you talk outside. Don't try and talk to them behind the scenes, because of course they didn't do it. That's just how it is. But I mention that because one of the first pick points that we chose was in the center of the show, and there's no way out from that point. So I had pulled a young person out, and I was going to get them out of the show, and I got them backstage, but then I got to walk them through show hallways in order to get them back. So make sure that where you're pulling that person from is a safe place to do it. It's probably better to follow. I've got a couple that I call, they're pick points, but I call them swoop points, because I wait on one side, and as the group goes by, I just walk through and gently get my hands on the person and get it right out the door on the other side. And the guest barely knows that. The rest of the guests barely know anything happened. I don't want to make a scene. I want them in and out. That was one part of it. And design things that are bad. Actor safety. Try to design your show in such a way where the guests are never walking right towards a backstage curtain or right towards an emergency exit door. Try to offset that door a little bit so that the guest has to make the corner, and then they can see the path. Guide them with light so they see the path of where they're supposed to go. Because if that actor door, backstage door is directly where they have to turn a 90, they're going to go through it.
Mhm.
And that means that they're backstage with an actor who doesn't know that they're there. And that has been an incident. That has been an issue in the past for me, not at this show, but at others.
I know that corn makes up about 1/6 of our attraction, and over the years we've noticed that guest behaviors has changes once they're out there. Being away from the buildings and the staff, the guests think that they can do whatever they want. And roughly 80% of our guest issues happen out in the corn. So originally, our security team and managers had to use the same pathway as guests to respond to these incidents. That meant fighting through crowded trails and which delayed response times. So we solved that problem by redesigning that section of the attraction. We created an internal access pathway in the corn that allows management, security, actors, our backstage staff to reach every actor position in the corn without traveling through guest traffic. In that, we had to make a trade-off. So we built these big buildings that actors that the people could go by twice, and in the path. But doing that, we had to go ahead and guests can no longer pass it twice; they just pass it once now. But the improvement in safety and response time was well worth it. We also clearly marked the internal pathway with names of every shacks and routes leading to them. When a radio call happens, there's no confusion about where anybody needs to go.
That's a biggie.
Yeah.
So on our backstage areas, from our backstage hallways, every door to go into the show is labeled with what set is there and an arrow direction of which is the guest pathway. So that's on all of our backstage doors. Sean Fenner is asking, how do you train your actors to identify an offender? We used A to H, which is just, if you can remember A to H, it's age, build, how old are they approximately, age, build, are they slim, heavy, like how are they built? Color, like distinct clothing color. Distinguishing marks is D. E is elevation for height. How much bigger were they than you? Because height is relative based on that person. Was there anything distinct about their face? That's F. What does their face look like? And these are exercises that we do in order to get better at that. In order to get better at giving descriptions and their memory and such things. G is gait. How did they move? Big steps. Are they running? Are they moving fast? Are they slow? Are they limping? Those are things you want to look at. And then H is hair. So A through H, those things, and we have that posted in a couple different spots so that it can help us get a description.
I think we're using that from you this year. I think we had another situation or another training thing that we were doing. It's taken way too long. And so I think I think Edwards reached out to you about that.
Yeah.
So.
And because the worst thing for security is I just got hit in the face by a guy.
Right.
Okay. Can I get more information about this guy, please? And then there's this tooth pulling, and sometimes they're panicked and they're in hysteria, and that's just not enough information. Now I have a camera system that really helps with that. Good.
Actors' roles, as far as scenes being safe, would be report hazards immediately instead of working around them. Don't move props, walls, furniture without approval. Stay inside their intended scare positions so we know where they're at. And tell management if guests can consistently corner you, which is not really that big of a deal. I know in mine, but it can be in others because I know some scenes are closed off.
Yeah, I always give my actors a way out.
Yes.
Any haunted house that I work on is freaking Swiss cheese with actor doors. I want the actor come out of one area and normally go into a different area and they're going to kind of do a little bit of a loop through that set because I want them to have options. I don't like actors being able to get cornered. I don't like actors not having a place to go to reset. It really hurts flow if an actor has a little bit that they do, but then they can't leave.
Yes.
Because the guests never know when the bit's over, you know? So, yeah.
They just stop and stand there.
Right. They're waiting for the show to restart.
Some things do fall through the cracks, even at my haunt. I know that we had a communication breakdown last year, but the year before, between the costume department, production manager, and zone lead. An actor decided on their own to become a crawler that night without asking anyone or communicating that they were changing how they would perform. They went to costumes, they picked up knee pads and gloves, and no one questioned it. The actor scene included a table and a raised platform. They started crawling out from underneath the table, dropping off the platform, and crawling after guests. That location was never designed to be a scare spot, let alone a crawler position. It didn't take long before they, of course, injured their knee, and now we have an ambulance coming. As soon as it happened, of course, what we did is we stopped and asked the right questions. How did the actor get that equipment? Why wasn't anyone aware that they changed their performance? And why did no one stop them when it started? Of course, that incident, along with other situations that we had, it exposed a weakness in our process. And instead of blaming individuals, we fixed the system. So today, actors only receive costumes, props, and specialty equipment that they are assigned to their specific role. Alan, we actually took your number system. So when they actually come to the costume room, they come with a number, and they get that specific. Everything's in a bag. They give them the bag. Everything in that bag is what they need. They don't get anything else. And same with makeup. In makeup, they give them the number. We actually have a makeup book, and the number is in the makeup book, and that's what makeup they get. And so that way, we won't have anything like that ever happen again. And that extra level of accountability closes the communication gaps, and it greatly reduces the chance of similar incidents happening again. But that number system is awesome, Ellen.
It works well for me. It saves a lot of time to know when they show up what they're going to wear and what they're going to look like, meaning their makeup or mask is already pre-assigned and figured out. I see a question that well, okay. So yeah, we'll answer this one, but I want to answer because this is a fast answer. Alan, do you have any actors with a radio? Every night I'm open, I've got 8 actor trainers who are on radio, and I have 6 puppet radios in the show. So that's 14 actors with radios out of 85.
What are the biggest mistakes new haunt owners make when training actors?
Honestly, that answer, sadly, is not training actors. There's no training whatsoever. What happens more than I think any of us like is that you have your building all year. You have your space, you know where your haunt's going to go. You work very hard to build your haunt or make changes and make upgrades, and you work up to that last, like there's wet paint in the back of the show when they go in the front. And the actors, the costumes are almost an afterthought. Someone is there to take care of the makeup. Someone is there to take care of costumes, but they never get the attention that they need, let alone actor training to keep these people safe. So the biggest mistake in training is not training. I recommend now a lot of in-haunt training where they're going to get to know the space. They're going to get to know the space and the routes and where they go to and from are the big deals for me.
Perfect. Building a safety culture. What does actor safety actually mean to you, Alan?
Actor safety to me means that the show the guests get at the end of the night is the same at the beginning of the night. That can't happen if actors fall out. That can't happen if actors get injured. That can't happen if guests are allowed to behave in a way which hurts my actors. So that barometer for me is my show safe? Is is the show just as good at the end? It has all the same people in it as it had at the beginning of the night. That's the big metric. And then you can break it down to, do the actors know where they ask for help? Do the actors know where they can go if they don't feel well? Do the actors know the proper protocols and what their biggest power is as an actor? And by the way, your biggest power as an actor isn't some kind of move scaring people. The biggest power move that you can do is, oh, I'm not scaring them. And then you back into your set. It's done. That little show for them is over. And hopefully, if your scene comes to that, then you can get on a radio or get somebody on a radio and say, hey, this group is getting no-showed by the cast because they're a problem. That's a big issue. But the cast has to know and not be. Remember that haunting from 4,000 feet and 20 feet? When you're haunting with 4 feet, your emotions are right here. And that means your ego is right here. And that's a problem. You want your ego to be up there watching this whole thing like you're a video game character making it work, because there's less ego there. Ego is what causes you to stay in when an altercation is brewing and getting worse and worse. That the biggest power you have, the biggest strength, is to disengage. And I'm not going to get mad at a actor for disengaging a guest when they think a situation is brewing or they think it's out of hand and they don't want to deal with it. Don't deal with it. Get out. Meaning they can back up through a door. If that guest starts coming after them, massive issue, go out one of your other exits. So, yeah.
Do you suggest a minimum number of actors for a scene so they can help each other?
My haunt is so weird. No, I like one actor per scene, but normally I will have 2 or 3 actors in an area, and then I have an actor who is doing what I call reverse chainsaw. They're walking a little loop against the guest path so they can bump into that group 4 or 5 times, but they see all of those actors as they go by. So that unit of 4 is, all over the show, 15 times is that unit of 4. There's some outliers and stuff and puppets, but there's going to be an actor who's going reverse chainsaw backwards through the show in order to run into a group multiple times to make sure they're scaring the front, back, middle of that group each time that they hit them, and they get their little stopping points along the way. Okay, I just hit them here. I know that they're going to be coming, because by then they're haunt IQ. They're 50, 75 feet up. They're looking at a whole chunk of the show. And because they're going backwards through it, they might be touching on 3 or 4 groups, that not physically touching, but they might be interacting with 3 or 4 groups as they go through.
Again, we normally put veteran actors with some new ones, depending on the scene. But my haunt is on 10 acres, so we have some massive sets. What is the biggest mistake you see haunts making in safety culture?
I can't answer that aside, because every haunt is so different. And what I might see as a mistake, I don't like touch haunts. I think they're a bad idea. I think they lead to too many gray areas and too many risky situations. I don't like touch haunts. I don't think that there's a value in touching the guest. That is the last sacred thing that I have to threaten people with. And as soon as I do it, I take all of its power away. So I guess touching in a haunt, allowing your actors to touch people in order to scare them, to me, it normally doesn't. So, and it risks annoyance. Anger and fear don't live in the same brain. So I guess I would say a touch haunt is a mistake.
Okay.
But it's also an artistic choice.
Correct.
And I will work very hard to defend that haunt's right to exist, even though it's very different from mine. A haunt's a reflection of the director or the creator, and I want to experience different things. That person's nightmares are not my nightmares.
How do you get actors to actually take safety seriously?
I think I think actors are much better at taking safety seriously now than they were 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
Agreed.
I think they're more aware of it now. But it's through talking about safety. It's through having meetings and safety updates. And, hey, this incident happened last night. As a cast, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what the aftermath was, and let me tell you why it occurred and how we can prevent it in the future. We have a safety note of some kind. I don't want a BS repeater, drink more water. I want some kind of a specific note. This thing happened, and it could have been prevented. I want you to put that in your toolbox and make sure that you're not implicit in causing this problem in the future. Not because I'm yelling at you for something you haven't done, but because I don't want that injury. I don't want that incident in the future.
Amber says, how do you successfully run an actor reverse chainsaw without messing up the flow and pace of your show?
So customers are weirded out by it the first 2 times they see it, but they see it 15 to 20 times. So what happens is it starts to be part of the flow. And then as they're going through, they kind of realize, okay, that person might come up again. So we have to kind of be careful. And it's nice because, like, when you're outside as a performer, you develop a repertoire with the group because you see them 3 or 4 times. It's the same thing in the haunt. But you see them in 3 or 4 sets, and now you know that group a little bit. You know who to scare, who to go after, who you didn't get. But it's training. And in my cast of 85, I have 15 actors who do it, and I probably have 9 to 10 who do it really well, and the others are learning, and hopefully their IQ is going up. So yeah, is it perfect all the time? Does it hurt the flow of the show? No, because you pick those stopping points. And my haunt's fully ADA compliant. My hallways are all 48 inches wide. So I have enough room for an actor to kind of hide behind something, let a little bit of the group go by, get a scare. That group of people is going to pass by, and then they move to the next hide behind spot, basically. And then they move to the next hide behind spot. A lot of their movement is when guests are not in front of them. And then they know a group is about to enter this space, they hide. So, yeah. And it's leaving areas for them to work also. Like, it's in the route planning.
I know that back to the safety culture, I know that we say a lot, if it's not safe, it's not scary. And we drill that into our staff. Some actor roles to build a safety culture is look out for fellow actors, report near misses, not just injuries, accept coaching without taking it personally, of course. It helped new actors learn the safe habits. I know Christopher here has, how do you feel about lights out shows?
I don't like lights out shows. I like altered light shows. I like shows where your lighting is different. I like shows where you change your lighting in a dynamic way. Just being dark isn't scary because you take away the ability for the actor to be seen, and that kind of hurts. So one of the things that we did for our last show that we did, because we used to do a Love is Blind where Valentine's Day, it was lights out. We actually did a version of it, but it's an altered light show. And every guest has a glow stick, and it is a green, yellow Mama Jamma glow stick. So it glows well. It lights up the area that they're in, and every actor knows exactly where they're at. And pretty much during that show, the trick isn't be seen moving in a weird way. The trick is every scare almost is a trapdoor spider. Every scare is boom, out of hiding, get the scare, go. And then go back into hiding. Because it's those quick, even though they're carrying the light, they feel they have a semblance of control. That is what you use in order to get the scares, because you jump out when they light up your space, just like if it was a horror movie. You have to think about it as if it was a horror movie. The light spans and it stops on your door because they know you might jump out. It's how long do you make them wait? Boom, hit it. Also, I give black pool noodles to, actually they're pipe insulation. And they're cut 3 or 4 feet long. And those are things that we move in front of them on the lights out show, that you can touch with those. But we also tell the guests that the actor's not touching you. It's going to be this foam noodle. And those things are ways to interact with the guest in a lights out show where you're not in danger because of there being no light. The biggest injury in the lights out show, actors running into walls because they're moving from spot to spot.
Let's switch over to guest behavior. I know we talked about have guests become more aggressive. We talked about that. What's the worst behavior you've seen?
The worst behavior that I've seen?
Yeah.
Just crotch grabbing. So much crotch grabbing from a guest. Yeah.
Especially a queue line actor.
I think it's worse in the haunt, because then they're feeling like they're getting away with it. That's what they think. And it's something where, as long as you have a good reporting system, you have a way to get to them fast. That's key.
How do you prepare actors for these unruly guests?
Training, and again, giving them that power to say, back away. Mm-hmm. Somebody's acting weird, freaking you out, scaring you. Back up. Don't give them a show. That's totally your right. But you prepare them by talking them through situations. Teaching about treat a customer differently who's walking through like this than the customer who's walking through. Handle each animal according to how it might bite you. Is the big deal.
So I have in my notes here, actor roles is never chase a confrontation, which is what we're saying. Back away. Break character when personal safety is threatened. Use the established emergency signal if you can. Don't retaliate unless cornered. I don't even know if you want to do that. Let security and management handle difficult guests, which we talked about. Then, of course, training, which is recognizing warning signs before situations escalate. Was there anything you might want to add to that?
Can you read your second two again?
Never chase a confrontation.
Yeah, leave. Get out of there. Get out. If that bad customer is trying to get away from you, hallelujah. Problem solved. That's a win. So all you got to do is then let security find them. What was the one after that?
Break character when personal safety is threatened.
No, I don't stick around to break character. Get out.
Okay. Get out.
Go.
Okay.
It's you have mistaken me for someone who is a punching bag. Actually, under this mask, I am not a punching bag. I am a person. Whack, whack, whack. No. As soon as they are going to swing on you or anything, leave. Get out.
Okay. Switch it. Oh, here you go. From Josh. Alan, for the people who already understand the basic actor roles, no touching, no blocking exits, protect the guest path, control your scare, what is the next level of actor training that separates a safe amateur haunt from a haunt that feels professionally controlled?
It boils down to professionalism. It boils down to preparedness, because you can have a solid scaring crew, but they don't stay prepared or in a state of readiness. One of my least favorite things is to walk into a set and the actors are out, not on their phone, but they're just, and then they go into hiding. And then, obviously, where they're going to come out from, but you kind of surprise them. So making sure that their awareness is such, and their awareness is to a degree that they don't get surprised, and they're always the ones doing the surprising. I think that's a big deal. but also the professionalism of not dropping character. And you might have a character as thick as a sheet of paper, and that's it. But as long as the guest is in the room, you maintain looking at them, you maintain the posture and the movement. Because one of the worst things ever is that you come out after a group, you scare them, and then you stand up to turn and walk back into your hiding spot. Well, you underwrote yourself. You killed the character. So it's maintaining character for the whole time the guest is in your space, and then learning how to breathe and stuff and not be in that character when there isn't anyone there. Turning that character on and off super fast, because that's what's necessary for the evening and for your sanity. So there's a lot of things. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on actor training, but real quick, here's a powerful tool to make actors amazing and give them more options. Every single spot in the show by an actor can be played as a master, a servant, or a fool. Master, servant, fool. I think this is my most powerful acting advice, in that when you are in a scene, you can be the master. I'm in control of everything. I see you here. I summoned you to come to me. You are here at my will. I know exactly what's going to happen here. A servant is, oh, you're in the master space. They know you're here. They sent me to watch you. It's the same room, different energy. And then a fool, you have so many options as to how to play a fool. But master, servant, fool is a quick way to change a scene on a dime and give the actor the power to do that.
Awesome. To switch a little bit here, management role. After an incident, who responds, who documents, who reviews cameras, and who removes guests, and when do police get called?
You want me to answer all that?
Say again?
You want me to answer all that?
You can answer whatever you want.
Hit me one question at a time. Hit me the first question.
After an incident, who responds?
Well, if it's EMT incident, then EMT responds. If it's a security incident, security responds. But often, if it's unknown what's going on, because we have this symbol to the cameras, that means someone come. Okay, that means someone come here. I have something I have to talk to somebody about. That's normally going to be an actor trainer, because I have 8 of them running inside the show somewhere, and they can go to that spot. So what's the next question?
Who documents?
The actor documents. They're the one that had the incident. Why would someone else write it down? Their memory's not as good. So we have someone on staff every night, and it's they do incident reports. So that's their job for the evening. Now, they might wait behind a curtain until they get a radio call and then go, and they're going to sit down with that actor and talk to them. And if they need to fill it out for the actor, that's fine. But you're getting the information from the actor at that moment.
Okay. And of course, we all know who removes guests. It would probably be security. Mm-hmm. And then I guess, when do police get called? And that's when it becomes a bigger issue than what our security can deal with.
The only time that I will bring police inside of my show, because they don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
They have no idea where they're going inside the show. They will not help. And they're going to ruin the show for 40 people trying to get to one person who was kind of a problem. So if there is a weapon in the show, or if there is, I think it's only a weapon, really. If there's a weapon in the show, I will have one of my actor trainers grab the police officer and take them inside directly to the incident. They're on the radio with dispatch the whole time, seeing what's going on. And then that police can get right to that spot. Anything else security is going to handle, get them to one of those pick points. The police officer does know where the pick points are. The police officer is going to be waiting outside at that pick point, or at an area where we can get that person to it.
That's, yeah. So we do the same thing. We have off-duty police officers that actually know the show. But again, Normally one of our security officers meet them outside the show and bring them in just to be safe. But yeah, we do the same thing. We usually have one big one every year. This last year we had some very drunk people out in the corn. We tried to get them to pull them off into what you call a pick point. And in that, they became confrontational and started a fist fight with our security. And it got to the point where there was a tussle and the off-duty police officers were involved. And the next day we found a gun on the ground. So, I mean, it was actually pretty insane. We now have metal
You now have a
detectors.
free gun. That's what you now have. You now have a free gun. Sweet.
We have metal detectors now. So we've been checking bags and all that. But again, we got the farm to get metal detectors this year because of that. I know in our haunt, documentation is a critical part of our safety. Every incident, no matter how big or small, is documented. Many nights, I know Edwards, Dylan, and I are here long after everyone else is gone, gathering incident reports, reviewing video footage, and collecting witness statements. So it's a big thing. I know at our haunt, we organize and keep everything on file. The reason being is that we have, again, we're a bigger thing. So when people get kicked out of the haunt, they go straight to the farm office and go, I didn't do anything. I didn't do this. And so we have to create this document saying, yes, they did, show video evidence and have everything for them. I know that before we open the following date, depending on the incident, we meet to review what happened. We ask what caused the incident, whether it could have been prevented, and what changes we can make. We identify the weakness in our procedures. We fix it immediately and put new processes in place to reduce the chances of it happening. Again, I know that that's almost like a daily thing that we do right as we get there to work the next day, is we have a sit down and talk about any incidences that happened the night
So
before.
we actually have a post-mortem with the actor trainers and actor managers.
Uh-huh.
Actor trainers, actor managers, the department heads are normally in there in order to talk about the incidents and the issues and just the generals of what happened tonight. A lot of time we're talking about flow and how to improve flow. But every security incident, it's like, can we prevent that? Can we fix that? We have a repair list.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to wait till the next day. I'm not saying that's wrong. That's perfectly fine. The last thing I want to do is I don't want to have a meeting with all the actors after we close. I know some haunts do that, an end of night meeting. Just let them go home. It's freaking midnight or 1 a.m. But that post-mortem for the people who help me keep the chaos down, that's important every night. That meeting will probably go about 30 minutes on most nights, but we get a lot of good information on it. And it's my job is make sure that any complaint becomes an actionable item. There's no point in having a meeting where nothing happens.
Correct.
So I'm making not always policy changes, but at least I might make pathway changes. I might make repairs. We have a repair list at the end of the night. Hey, what did you break in your set? It happens. No problem. What isn't working right? And that way we know. But making sure that if you're going to bother to have a meeting, have actionable items from that meeting that you can say, we talked about this and then we fixed it.
Josh asked, are you using electronic documentation, paper documentation, or both? And how long are you typically keeping these records?
Both so far, forever.
Yeah, it's same here. We do
because
both.
you write it on paper, you scan it in, or you take a photo of it, and then you put it in an electronic file.
Yeah.
I get a PDF of my EMS log of who came into EMS, actor-wise, how long they stayed, what they were treated for, and how many visits they've had this year to EMS. So I have an Iron Man Actor Award, and one of the things is you can't spend more than 30 minutes all season in the EMS office. You need to go there for a Band-Aid? No problem. Not going to hold that against you.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you've spent 2 hours of a 80-hour season, you're not going to get an Ironman award. That's okay.
Some active roles that I have in this section is report every incident, even if it seems minor.
Yep.
Give factual statements instead of emotional ones. Preserve evidence if possible, and don't post about incidents on social media before management has addressed them.
I don't follow those last two.
Okay.
In an extreme situation, I am not going to risk the actor's dignity in order to preserve evidence, depending upon what the situation is, of course.
Exactly.
So, but I think there's common sense that has to be. That's a very broad statement that I can't just jump right on. And what was the last one that you said?
The last one was don't post about the incidences on social media.
I'd rather they not, but it's their right to do so.
It is their right, but
I would rather they not. Give me a chance to fix problems. If it's the 5th time that it happened to you here at Dark Hour, go right ahead. Maybe you're the problem. That's possible. Or I got some crap to fix, and you've got to pressure me to fix it. I try to think of myself as someone who listens to issues and problems and fixes it. But I'm a 50-year-old white dude. I'm a little stubborn on some things, and it might take someone posting on social media for me to say, "Oh, that's a bigger problem than I thought," and let me address that. I hope that's not the case. I pray that's not the case.
Correct.
But I don't have enough of an ego where I can't listen to someone complaining just because it's from an improper channel.
To switch over, we'll talk about mental health and emotional safety. How do you make first-year actors feel safe?
You introduce them to your systems. Safety is about systems to me. It is, this is your fire exit. This is where the fire extinguisher is. I do not expect you to stop and put out a fire. Please don't. I would much rather you just leave through the fire exit and take any guest who's in your path between you and that fire exit. Say, hey, come on, we have an incident. We have to leave. But also, don't hang out and drag them. Hey, we have an incident. We have to leave. Mask is off. You're on your way out the door. But I'm not asking you to stop and drag this person out. I need you to be safe. Introduce them to your systems. And your system should be engineered in such a way where as soon as they learn about them, they feel safer.
How do you prepare them for harassment from guests?
I keep my lobby clean and I'm very nice to the guests. The guests only encounter friendly people. The guests see that I'm taking care of the lobby. I'm taking care of the parking lot. The guests see that we are managing groups in an orderly way. And the guests are less likely to be giant buttholes when they're in an environment where they know that won't be tolerated. So preparing the actor means that I'm trying to prevent the problem. But also, what's that actor's main power? Get out.
Yeah.
Don't stick around for harassment. He called me a mother. Oh, well, as soon as someone yelled the word mother at me, I wouldn't be in there to hear the rest of it. Get out.
Okay.
Why did your ego stay there? Get out of the room.
Security. Radios. We've already talked about radios. Cameras everywhere. We've talked about that. Body cams. Do you guys have body cams? I know we do.
It's charging right here.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that.
And these have really good night vision. Like, it's not uncommon for me to pull footage off of this for scare footage because the night vision on this is so good. I digress.
I know that the body cams for our security guys has dropped tremendously. The he said, she said thing that happens whenever they grab somebody to bring them out. What about do you have? I know you have cameras, so you usually do the sign. But there's also, they have hidden buttons that they could press if something happened or like that.
We don't have those because we have all of our show on camera.
Yeah.
So there's a place where they can get to, their spot.
Should do you, as far as pre-screening, I know we have metal detectors, bag checks, and of course we have people watching customers in the queue.
Same. And also we have the customers watch other customers. We maintain my goal is to have the nicest haunted house you ever been to.
Okay.
I'm not worried if it's the scariest. That might happen. It might not. But it's they watch each other, and then hey, these guys are being real buttholes, behind us, and they're trying to cut line. They're doing whatever kind of behavior. Listen to tips from your audience about who are jerks, because they're probably right, or they're jerks, in which case you get to interact with them and learn.
Richard says, do you find that the Iron Man Award would hinder some self-reporting?
Yes. It would hinder some self-reporting. Do I think it would hinder it to a significant degree? No. And let me clarify. We have 5 awards. The definition and how you get each of the requirements to get an award is up on the wall. Okay. It's there all season. So there's no surprise about end of season awards. It's not a mystery. There's only 5, and each one has criteria of how you get it. Iron Man Award, I gave out 21 Iron Man awards because it also had to do with how many nights you worked. And a lot of people just didn't qualify because they didn't work enough nights. Boy, 50-year-old dude. If I'm an actor and I'm acting in the show and I cut my hand on a screw, I'm going to report the screw and say, hey, that's a problem. I'm going to go to my own actor kit and put a Band-Aid on it. And I spent no time in EMS.
Yeah.
If I have a headache, I'm going to go to my bag and get my ibuprofen and take it, because I'm a professional and I have the things that I know that I'm going to need to take care of myself. We're making an environment that is uncomfortable for a guest to walk through in 30 seconds. And I want an actor to hang out in it for 6 hours. Bring some freaking Tylenol. It's going to be intense, and you're going to need that. And that way you have your own medicine, anti-inflammatory of choice with you in your little actor gig bag. Very important so that you have one of those. I got my own lozenges. Is being a tough guy going to make you report less incidents? Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. That's okay. It's okay to do that. It's not okay to be grievously injured and not report that. You'll get in trouble, So, yeah. Yes, it'll slow some reporting down. I don't think to a degree where if getting an Iron Man award is important to them, then I don't think that I think they're going to have the sense to not report something that is a grievous injury or an issue.
Josh said, do you have house light switches in each set, or is it triggered by a radio communication?
Oh, gosh, no. We have house lights far outside of the show that turn the house lights on. But the situation that would cause house lights to go on is going to be fire alarm going off, tornado warning, gunshots inside the show. I probably wouldn't even turn on the lights for somebody with a weapon, because that's going to make their job easier. Mostly meaning a knife, because it's easier to find people, for them to navigate. I will almost never turn on the house lights. But I have systems and I have ways to deal with it without having to do that. I don't know what you would do that for I guess triggered by radio communication, but I don't want every actor or any guest to be able to just lean on a light switch and turn the lights on. That's terrifying.
Rules that we normally do. I know we don't rely on our guests to seeing our rules just once. We repeat them throughout the entire process. They see our rules on our website. They see them when they buy our tickets. They're displayed again, online when they purchase. We broadcast them over our speakers while guests are waiting in the scanning line. And then we reinforce with multiple rule signs throughout our queue in a storyboard format to kind of make it interesting as far as each rule goes. I know before entering the attraction, we stole this from Spencer. Every guest goes into our rules hallway where the rules are displayed on the walls. The staff member also plays a recording and asks everyone to look at the camera and nod if they understand and agree and follow the rules. If somebody refuses to acknowledge the rules, we don't let them in.
Yeah, we have that out front, and over top of all of our rules sign out in the lobby, over top of each one is a camera. So I probably have a video recording of every person looking at the rules.
That's awesome. Actor roles for any of this was for one, know your emergency signals, test communication equipment before opening, never disable safety equipment, and stay where you're assigned unless directed otherwise.
All of those are really good theories.
Uh-huh.
I don't tell my actors to stay in their spot. I allow my actors, if no one's in front of you, move backwards through the show along the guest path, no shortcuts. And I call that they're scaring forward. They're working forward.
I remember you doing that.
I want the guest, and here's why I do that. It's because I went through Terror on Church Street in 1994, the year before I started working there as a guest. And I guess I had been through a few times that night. And when I got to a swamp scene, there was a bridge. I got halfway across the bridge with my group, and 8 actors from all these different scenes came out and attacked that bridge all at once. And I'm like, I know that wasn't supposed to happen, but that was awesome.
Yes.
And a lot of our job is making that magical moment that's a memory.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to scare forward, because if you encounter a group 3 sets in front of your normal set, there's normally a shortcut to get you back to your set.
Yes.
And that teaches them the show too, if they know how to do that. They learn the show better, and then I can use them in more spots. But I have them scare forward, get a scare, and then get back to your set. So I don't ask them to stay in place. However, if we haven't had a customer in 20 minutes, I might have 13 actors in the graveyard who I can give information to all at once.
Yes, that's correct. We are a conga line haunt, so I don't get that. Maybe the first weekend we might have something like that, but it's terrible. It's as far as going forward, that might could happen at the end of the night when there's not that many, and
there is no force on earth as destructive as a bored haunted house actor.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to just wait in their set. I want them to be a predator. I want them to go look for prey, go hunting. The only path you can go hunting in is backwards through the show where the guests are coming.
Real quick question. What's an incident you'll never forget?
I've been haunting since 1986.
I know.
You want me to pick one?
Just go right into your head.
Every night in a haunted house, something happens that you'll remember for the rest of your life. I stand by that every single night because there's so many magical situations. But okay, so the last night of last year, again, I put myself as head of security for the run. But then everything was handled and I had a good crew and they knew my systems by then and they were doing them well. last night I played in the show, and part of me playing in the show was working with new actors and performers.
Mhm.
And I loved last year. There was a moment where I went backwards through the show and just kind of tried to bring everybody's energy up, and the effect that it had on the cast made me feel like I was doing things right. And that kind of peace in the middle of the chaos of a haunted house was a joy. So I remember those moments of working with actors last year who, some of them didn't even know that I was the owner. They just knew, here's this guy who's running around inside the haunted house scaring people, and now he's encouraging me to play and to do new things. And it was really awesome. So that series of moments is what I'll say that I remember.
Okay. What's one safety practice every haunt should implement tomorrow?
Making sure that the actor knows that their power is to be able to drop and leave that scene. As soon as there's an issue, they're not going to get in trouble for getting out of there, because the actor can't get hurt if they have moved away from that situation. I think that's so huge. But I also think writing reports is huge. That's on that personal, micro actor level. But then for the haunt on the macro, having a good report system, it has saved me several times last year and the year before of customer complaints after the fact. And I'm like, I have the report from your incident that you mentioned. That allowed me to look it up on camera, and here's what actually happened. If you do want to pursue this with a lawyer, please understand that I have this evidence. And that caused me to go unread by many, many people because I had the information that I needed to fix that situation.
Heather asks, what trends are you seeing in safety, or what has changed the most since you started?
Cameras. Haunts never had cameras, and there wasn't good enough night vision or IR in order to make cameras in haunts useful. That's a big deal. We used a Phasm camera that's for ghost hunting, and we have our head of our media department, Robert. He'll go through with that Phasm camera, and he can get a lot of guest response, and he can kind of cause scares with that camera, and it records. It's got like a purple tint to it, but the cameras have changed big time for safety. Reporting has changed for safety. Now I think most haunts have insurance, whereas before I don't think the haunts that I worked at up until like 93, I don't think any of them had insurance.
No.
And now they have insurance, and your requirements are higher. I think the HAA is doing big strides in order to make safety a priority. And they certainly have information like actor handbooks. That's a big thing. We didn't have that in order for actors to have just the right information. I think, boy, people might get mad at me. COVID was such a big blessing for haunted attractions, because most haunted attractions pre-COVID did not wash their costumes in any meaningful or significant way. And that's just gross.
Yes.
But now most haunts have some kind of a method, I think, for washing their costumes. It might be once a weekend instead of every night, but at least it happens. It got us thinking about sanitation. It got us thinking about the airbrush makeup. It got us thinking about wiping out a mask at the end of the night so that you're not transferring anything. I think haunt crud has gone down since COVID, whereas before it was kind of rampant because we were disgusting as an industry.
What's one inexpensive safety improvement every haunt can make?
Every safety improvement that you can make is inexpensive if you consider the cost of an incident happening because you didn't do it.
Perfect answer.
everyone. I did 64 cameras 2 years ago, and then last year I did 64 more cameras to get my whole show covered. And that total gear for all of it, I think I'm at like gear and install maybe 12,000, which is cheap for the incidents and the peace of mind that I now have because of that system. My actors feel safer because of that system. So I would spend that every year. I would rather buy safety equipment than pay for insurance.
Yes.
And you're gonna pay for insurance no matter what. So you might as well also pay for some safety equipment, pay for some things that make your actors safer, make your life easier, make you rest easy, because you know that things are taken care of, and the customers are going to behave themselves because of the models and the behavior that you're encouraging. And then maybe your insurance can go down a little bit because you're the safest guy in the state.
Brett, does anybody else have any questions? We're almost to the point of wrapping this up.
Brett, you're also muted. Bart's in the dark. Brett's muted. I'm having to work here, guys.
And I'm the producer. Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll do one last call for questions because this has been a great 100 minutes we're at. And, you know, Alan, this is my 40th year, 40 years too, come September. And,
Good deal.
You know, I learned a bunch of stuff tonight from both of you guys. I appreciate it.
So I see a question here from Sean Fenner. Do you hire your own security? Yes, I use my people. So one of the issues, let me tell you an issue story that I had, is I had a head of security who was an EMT when he started with me. He then became a police officer. And the attitude that a police officer has is not the attitude that I want a security person to have. My security should always be on my side. The attitude of a police officer is, let me get to this situation and then see who's at fault. No, whoever I say is at fault until we're out of the building, and then we'll figure it out, you know, or then the lawsuit will figure it out. But my security should reinforce my decisions because their job is to keep the actors safe. Their job is to keep the actors safe first and the show running second. And that's not the attitude of a police officer. So he had to move into a different position where his on-the-job training did not hurt this one.
It looks like Heather says, can you speak to when audience members demand to see the camera footage themselves, regardless of the incident?
Yes. Here's what I say. No.
That's what I say too.
Yeah. I say, no, I'm not going to take the time to do that. If you truly believe your 13-year-old son over my 8 employees who have all reported on this incident, then in court, I will bring my footage. But if you think maybe your kid's an a-hole, then you don't need to see the footage. I have it. I have it for my protection, not for your peace of mind. That's for me. And the decision that I made was to keep my actor safe. And, you know, that's it. Sorry. Give me a bad review on Google. I get plenty. But they're all people I kicked out or actors I fired.
Yeah. Sean asked, as someone who has pitched health and safety training for actors at conventions to be told it won't sell, what can we do to make safety training a priority?
You can't. It's just not sexy. That's the problem. And no one stands out for running an extremely safe haunted house. I hate to say that.
It's true.
But it's true. You can, but it's tough to say in your parking lot that, you know, that like this year, what's the big improvement at the haunted house? We paved our parking lot. That's massive for you, but the audience doesn't care.
No.
And that's kind of the same thing with safety. I hate to say it, but in order for safety classes to sell more, we have to do more things like this and get more haunt owners on board with safety being a priority. But not just owners. You know, I have several of my actor trainers will go with me to Trans World and take classes. 2 or 3 years ago, I found out that one of my actor trainers, separate from me, I didn't even know he was going to be there, was there taking safety classes. He took C.H.A.O.S on his own, wanted to be a better haunter. But that tells me that we've got a good culture of people wanting to haunt from a higher elevation. They want to haunt from 200 feet. They want to haunt from 300 feet and really know what's going on in the show.
I like to think of safety as a vaccine. You know, like you're in with the insurance rates. If you have safety, you take a little bit of time to make it, to get it there. You'll not get the disease of a lawsuit. So.
Or an injury, you know.
Yeah. No one wants to get hurt. No one wants to be, you know, unsafe. No one wants a catastrophe. And it doesn't take much to, you know, it takes a lot of effort overall, but each part is small. So your camera?
I'm showing the model and the type. But yeah, Sean, message me and I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Because I will
Alan,
forget.
could you go over the A through H, just the you know, without you described them all? Could you give all the A through H one last time?
Yes, I can. Age. A, age. B, build. C, color. I'm referring to clothing. But you know, skin tone, if it's significant, then might be a factor. D, distinguishing marks. E, elevation, meaning height in regards to you, in regards to the set and the situation. F, face. What's the shape of their face? Glasses, facial hair. Try to remember their face. G, gait. That's how they move, how they walk. Did they limp, or did they, you know, did they keep their hands over their face the whole time they were moving through the show? And H is hair. If the person is really rational, then H can also be habits, but you haven't watched them long enough to really get those habits.
Thanks. That's a great list. What else we got left, Bart?
That's it. We are. I do want to ask everybody if HAA was creating a minimum actor safety standard for the industry, what would absolutely have to be included? Please put that in the comment section. We would love to hear that. But that is all I have.
All right. Well, we really appreciate everybody that was online with us through Facebook and YouTube. I think it was a record setter. At one point, I noticed we had 91 people watching live, and I'm sure we're going to have lots more watching it later on the streaming. So,
safety is sexy.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit ago you said safety isn't sexy compared to selling the courses. I kind of laughed because Shannon is the one that come up with safety is sexy. So,
well, here's the difference is when you're safe, safety is sexy. When you're trying to sell it, safety isn't sexy. But once you have it, you know how sexy safety is. If that makes any sense.
That makes complete sense.
Exactly.
There's a peace of mind from having the right systems in place, and I wish everybody could get there.
Excellent way to end this whole thing. So we're going to go on off stream here and appreciate everybody's time. And remember, the Haunted Attraction Association is there for you, as well as Alan and Bart and all of our board members. Just reach out and we'll help. Thank you. Good night.
On the next one, maybe you'll see both of us.